Hi, I'm here with Ali Budd from the new show House of Ali, which is on HGTV, and I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
So, Ali and I met in the coolest way possible. We actually met in the lobby of a fancy hotel in Toronto, and I'm really glad that we finally have a chance to sit down and talk. As a wife, a mom, a mother, and a business owner, and a reality star, a TV star who's built your reputation designing luxury homes. How do you feel about the saying that privacy is the biggest luxury?
I think that you can, to a certain extent, control what you put out about yourself and then control how much you care about what other people think or say about you. I mean, again, like the show is premiering in Canada tonight. I don't think I've hit like any sort of stardom at this point. So I don't know that that I'm not like getting stopped in the streets or anything like that. But I think I've always been like most of Instagram, at least I can speak to that, has been like predominantly work related. You know, everyone has different ways in which they use social, and I try and show like little tidbits of my life outside work. But I think mostly it's been focused on that. And there's many moments in my life that I don't probably, most of my private moments actually I'm not recording. My kids are very rarely on Instagram. Sometimes, once in a while. But I think, I guess for me, the business, I'm of course part of it, but I'm not, the center of it in the sense that it's like our work. So I think it maybe makes things a little bit different when it comes to that. But I think I don't know, in this day and age, like, isn't everyone famous? And like, isn't like everyone has, I think privacy used to be different, but it's not. So many people just put so much of themselves out there. I guess it just depends who's watching.
Yeah, I definitely think that if you treat your life like a content calendar, it's going to give you certain opportunities that other people might never have access to. But I definitely like what you said. And how about when the show started? Like, what was it like to get your team on board with having the cameras around?
I mean, before it wasn't like I decided and then told them that this was going to be happening. I had sort of taken the first couple meetings, and we all, had talked about it at the time. I felt strongly, especially not understanding exactly what it was going to look like initially, that I wanted it to be very real and about, my business and my actual trades and, the people that I interact with on a daily basis. And so it's something that my team and I decided, together that we felt was a good idea. Um, and, I had sat down with kind of my main trades and, people that I've worked with for a really long time and told them what was happening. I brought them all into the office and I think someone took a video. I wish I should find it, but, and just said like, this is kind of what's happening. Do you want to be part of it? I don't know exactly what this looks like, but, everyone was really supportive and everyone was like, okay, let's just see what happens. So, it was all like a very organic situation and definitely not only my decision.
Well, I think you're very natural, at least on the first episode of the show, and I'm glad that your team all agreed to do it.
Me too.
One of the things I wanted to ask you about is that sometimes if it's in a condo, I'll see like someone has a cute bar cart in the corner, or they might have a huge display of drinks if they have a bigger house. How do you think that might change now that people are leaning towards mocktails and drinking less?
I mean, I feel like, you know, you do in your house what works for you. And when we're designing spaces, I don't really care about what anyone else's house looks like, or what they have. We really try and get to the bottom of, what works for you. And so I think if, having a bar in your house is something that you want for entertaining or, a really cool moment, then go for it. But if it's something that you wouldn't use or doesn't mean anything to you, then it doesn't matter. It's like oftentimes in houses we're sort of, especially in spaces maybe that aren't as large, we're not doing these formal living rooms. We're doing massive family rooms, dining rooms, kitchens, trying to really think about how people exist. And I feel like if you're doing your own house and you don't need a bar cart, don't put one in.
For sure. It's funny how you said, I mean, it's smart how you focus on what your clients actually need. But I also feel like we live in this world where no one wants to say this to your face, but they'll be like, oh my God, my neighbor has the oven with the red knobs, so I need to have the oven with the red knobs too. How do you encourage your clients to be original?
I think that true like luxury is having something that maybe other people don't have. And sure, there can be certain things that you want because they're brand recognizable, or somebody has something that you feel was amazing and you wanted to incorporate that. But I think there can be certain elements of those things, but for the most part, I think people really do want something that feels special and unique to them. So I always think there's, a balance. And by the way, I take all the red knobs off and put the black ones on. So
That's
sort of
funny
all.
and very interesting. I had the tagline like the girl in the red jeans. And so when the red knobs started becoming popular, I definitely noticed them.
It's like anything. I think that, some people are way more driven by what they think is cool or what other people have, and some people don't care. So, it just depends where you land, and you should do what makes you feel good.
For sure. Now, someone who recently popped up on your Instagram, which was really cool, was when Jenny Mollen was the first guest at your house in Costa Rica.
Wow,
And
you're
she's,
like, that's like minute by minute here. Okay. It was like, yeah, that did just happen.
yeah, I mean, she's very accomplished on her own. She's a best-selling author, and she also has a famous husband, Jason Biggs. So,
Hmm.
how did you make that happen and connect with her?
Um, Again, it was like just one of those things. Her and I know a few of the same people. I think we had chatted like a couple times. And she actually sent me a message and she was like, I'm thinking about going to Costa Rica, and a few people have told me I should ask you about it. And we had just finished this house, and it's actually being launched tomorrow, our rental for it, but it's sitting empty right now. So I just said to her, I was like, come stay in my house. And she was like, what? And anyways, we ended up talking, we were laughing because we're, I think, very similar personalities to a certain extent. And, um, very, I guess, I don't know, she just made this decision very quickly, and so did I. And we just like put it into action. Like, she's clearly a very decisive person. I'm like that as well. And she ended up literally like booking flights to go and stay there. And, we made sure everything was taken care of for her. We have a concierge service with the house, and she like fell in love with my caretaker who lives on the property. And I think she really had a good time. And it was just, I don't know, it kind of just happened. It's not like my publicist called her publicist and we negotiated terms and Instagram stories. Like, neither of us did that. I was like, do you want to go? She was like, yeah. And then that's what happened.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, it's not a formal partnership. You offered
Yeah.
the VIP experience, and she was interested.
Yeah, there's no partnership. I think, we've become friends, and I think she's hilarious. I too have followed her for a really long time. And like, my personal favorite is her highlight reel of her and her mother getting plastic surgery together. That was pretty amazing, but she makes me laugh, and she's very smart. And I also think she's a wonderful human. You know, I mentioned to her, for example, we rescued a dog in Costa Rica, and the shelter that we got, our dog Hugo from, I saw on Instagram, and I've been in contact with them. They were struggling. They're at capacity, you know, they needed X amount of money in order to take on more animals. And I sent her a message because she was there, and I was like, listen, this is the shelter like Hugo comes from. Is there any way you could do like an Instagram post, you know, while you're in Costa Rica, just to bring attention to it, because I really want to help them. And she ended up like doing a whole charity drive and like raising all this money for them, and like went to go and see them. And it was just like so above and beyond. And I don't know, I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, it's really interesting how you connected and made so many things happen, whether vacation or fundraising or whatever
Yeah.
it was. Now, going back to what you said earlier, of course, you've sort of filtered out a lot of what happens in your personal life. And so there are certain people who pop up on your Instagram, but I know that there are also many impressive friends you have who will never show up. And I was curious, at this stage in your life and career, like how much do you think about the friends and mentors who you surround yourself with?
It's funny, I've had the same best friend since I was young, like really young. And you know, even this morning, I was here doing press really early. So, you know, two of my best friends picked up my youngest daughter, took her to school. I have like a very solid foundation around me. And it's not like I don't make new friends, of course I do, but I think I'm not like looking for famous friends. I don't really care. I want my friends. So I think mentors is different. I'm always looking to be inspired, you know, specifically by, I think, women that are doing really impressive things, and who are entrepreneurial. And I'm, you know, very blessed in a sense that I have some very close personal friends who are quite successful, and we're able to chat through things. But trust is a huge thing for me. And yeah, like I really do feel like my closest circle and the people I trust the most have been with me forever, since way before anyone else knew who I was.
Yeah, it's lucky when those people are already in your community, because I feel like people could send 1,000 cold DMs and never end up with the same circle. So we're definitely fortunate to have certain industry connections or mentors who can help us. So I thought that in the last half of our conversation, we could sort of have like a brainstorming session where you can be creative and share your ideas and goals on the spot.
Okay.
If you could have any celebrity client, who would you want to work with?
That's a tough one. Because I'm like, do I love you, or do I just think you have really cool style? I think like Oprah, I don't know. You know, I feel like just someone like so crazy iconic would be amazing. I also feel like there's a lot of professional athletes that could really use my help in terms of from an interior design perspective. So I'm not super into sports. So I also feel like I wouldn't be like wildly starstruck, which would be like beneficial for us both. But it's funny, like it's not even, I don't really think about it in terms of like, whose house am I doing? I think about it like, what's the house? You know, like, where is it? And like, what cool things can we put in it? And, you know, can we do this? And we do this? And can we do this? It's like, obviously who's living there is important, but that's, you know, wanting to like work on celebrities' houses isn't like necessarily a driving factor for me.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting how you mentioned athletes, like, because there would be a bit more of a separation. So I thought that was interesting, but also like hearing about your experiences and your career and how, you keep things confidential, and whether you're working with them for a few weeks or a few months, you're going to have some sort of a working relationship that the average person never would. And how you sort of talked about like sometimes this sounds making it a little bit too juicy, but like how you sometimes heard about their divorces or babies in advance. Like it's a unique thing when
You're
you're,
very up close and personal with
yeah,
people. And then, I mean, listen, and working relationships in this business, although they transition because you start a project and at some point you finish a project, it's never just like weeks, it's usually years at this level with what we're doing. And I think in order to make sure that somebody's happy in their home and that they're getting what they need, you need to know about their life. And with that, I think comes a level of responsibility to make sure you're maintaining confidentiality. It's really important. And that's, always something that we take very seriously.
yeah, absolutely. I was just watching one of your previous interviews. Um, So I'm a huge Barbie fan, and of course, it was on my radar that there was a VIP Barbie hotel suite in Montreal. And so, if you could recreate something similar, like a VIP hotel suite that was based on any book or movie, what would you want to create?
Oh my God, something like so dark and twisted. I feel like it would be like something with like zombies or vampires or like something that's so notoriously gruesome, but I'd want to make it so chic. So maybe you and I are different. You want Barbie and I want like Cruella de Vil. I don't know.
That's funny with Halloween coming up. Are you really
Right.
into that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a mom and I have 3 kids, so they're still kind of young. They're still all young enough that they're super into it. And I actually have friends of mine that throw this amazing Halloween party every year. So that's something really like to get excited about. The kids are not invited. I think it's like a fun time of year. And I think it's like fun to get dressed up and it's fun as a mom to watch your kids be so excited about something and getting their costumes. And then like I'll have a fight with my husband because the pumpkin's been out for like 3 weeks after that. But like other than that, like the lead up to it, I really like. I like before holidays and I don't like after them because then it's like annoying to get rid of everything.
Yeah, the cleanup process. Well, we definitely skipped ahead to October, which is great. I mean, everyone's planning ahead for Halloween, but
I'm
I've always been a fan of September, not only because of my birthday and new TV shows like House of Ali, but I also feel like this is really when people want to hustle and work hard. So if someone wants to upgrade their home office, what advice would you have for them?
I think like before you do anything, really clearing out clutter is such a game changer. Taking a few hours or days, depending on what your hoarding situation is, and being ruthless with getting rid of things. I watched this video recently, I think on TikTok, and it showed like the evolution of our desks from like, I don't know if you saw it, but it was so cool. It went from like, you know, all of this stuff that you needed to be productive to really just kind of your phone and a computer, basically. And so all the stuff I think that we needed before, we don't need. So I would always start any design project. Like you'll be shocked at how much a space can change if you literally just organize and clean it. But I would say I don't like if I'm sitting on Zoom with somebody and their like background's blurry because I'm like, what are you trying to hide? Like, and then I focus on like what's behind you, and I'm like, why are you blurry? Or like, why are you have an ocean? Like, what's going on? So I would, in this day and age, I feel like just do something cool behind you, even if it's like I don't know, a paint, wall paint, like whatever you're gonna do. Like I think that's kind of usually when you're sitting in your office, like I mean, hopefully there's some sort of window, but you're kind of focused on what you're doing. And I feel like if it's organized, you'll be productive. But I think it's that background thing that again, you'll feel confident when you're talking on Zoom that way.
Yeah, I think interesting bookshelves can also kind of be like a conversation starter, like what's that behind you?
Yeah.
People have collectibles and stuff.
Or like it could throw people off. I don't know. I sometimes think like keeping it simple so that it's not so distracting. Because like the same way with the blurry background, if you have so much stuff behind you, like, I'm gonna be reading your book tight. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be like looking at every single thing. So I think something like clean and simple and nice is like the best way to go.
Yeah. I also definitely recommend, like, agree with the simplicity and cleanliness. And I also am still a big fan of printers. Like, even I printed my questions for today. Like,
Yeah.
how would I do that if I didn't have a printer?
I'm a like visual learner, and when things are actually like tangible for me, where I can hold them or read them or underline them, you know, even when we're doing design work, like I always print plans to sketch on top of. It's just the way my brain thinks. I sometimes wonder if my kids will think that way because they've just been trained so differently, but for me too, like I like having things that I can hold.
Agree. Well, I think that everything you've accomplished is very inspiring. And I feel like everyone who watches your show is either going to want to declutter, redecorate immediately, and then also try to find a way, whether it's like a new job or a side hustle, and try to find a way to afford the luxury and the lifestyle that's in your show because everything is really stunning.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, you can watch House of Ali on HGTV and follow Ali Bud on Instagram.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
It was great to chat with you again. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.